Welcome back to another episode of the Canon on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today talking about James Gunn, DCU, Peter Safran. We gonna stop leaving Peter Safran out because I don't want y'all to think that James Gunn is out here doing it by himself, and even though that's what everybody gonna say. But you know, anyway, a lot going on, which is kind of weird to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's kind of weird to see the vast amount of reaction to this Hollywood Reporter exclusive and James Gunn's response, just because what exactly did people think was going to happen? That's what I'm confused about. So I think obviously the Hollywood Reporter, the way they wrote the story, is more sensationalized, but James Gunn's response was perfect. It was absolutely perfect, and it's just like, what else is there to say? They started November 1st, people. It's been a little over a month. So what exactly do people think is going to be done by now? They, according to the reports, they're going to be pitching or whatever, showing their plan, even though, what's his name? David Zaslav. He's already heard their plan because he said it, but I'm sure they're fine tuning it or whatever. And so they're doing that this upcoming week. Like, they're nowhere near close to having all the things turning. And so when Hollywood, now the one piece of news that I think, was probably legit is that you got Wonder Woman 3 not happening or being rejected, whatever. And so that is news to me. Now, it's not surprising because to me, Wonder Woman 84 was one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen. And till this day, cannot understand people defending that. Now, look, it's subjective. People like different things, obviously, but it is objectively a poorly written story because a lot of it don't make any sense. And obviously, I think Gal Gadot as a big star and just the goodwill from the first one, I think that's enough to overcome the bad sequel and say, okay, we're going to make another one. But when you talk about the treatment they gave, and they didn't say it was bad. They just said it didn't fit with what they're doing going forward. Now, I don't know. Well, because there was another report that said it wasn't good. They said the character arcs didn't match what happened in Wonder Woman 84, which I do believe that, because the thing is, if you believe the sources, this happened before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over. So the media heads or whatever they are, they're the ones who saw this and was like, nah, this doesn't fit with what we're doing going forward, even though they didn't have the head of DC Studios yet. So how would they really know what they're doing going forward? That's why that threw me off a little bit. But now the follow-up report saying that it was more like these story arcs don't make sense, and then Patty Jenkins refused to rewrite it and left the project. That, to me, that lines up. So that's legit news. The rest of it, though, is just, I don't know what else people expected. Like, they said pure speculation that, or not pure speculation, they had some sources, but they're speculating that Jason Momoa will be done with Aquaman after this next movie. Okay, maybe. And then they're saying Black Adam 2 probably won't get a sequel. Black Adam won't get a sequel. Well, it didn't make money, so that's not a far stretch to guess that that's what that was. And then I feel like there was another movie they were talking about, oh, Superman. And so they were saying that Superman might not move forward or Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. And so, look, I don't think any of those were shockers, because as much as there's the Restore the Snyderverse movement, as much as there's all these people that want different things, you're talking about a 10-year plan by two people coming in, and they got a 4-year contract. So why would we think there weren't going to be changes? Like, what did we thought they were just going to roll ahead? Okay, Black Adam 2, Wonder Woman 3, Man of Steel 2, or did I say that already? Probably. We're going to do another Shazam. We're just going Blue Beetle. We're just going to keep it rolling. Like, no, did you need somebody? I mean, obviously you need people to make decisions, but I don't think that's why you bring in a new structure, because now DC's his own studio. It's not under Warner Brothers. I mean, obviously it is, but it's his own studio. And then you bring in two people to run it. I don't think you bring them in to just keep the train rolling, even though the train's been off the rails for a little bit. So I wasn't totally shocked by all this, but you got some people backlashing the cancellations. I can't believe they're canceling this and they're not doing this. And it's like, did you not think there was going to be some changes? I mean, you have some movies that are shot. That's about it. That's about the only commitment you have. And that doesn't have to be a part of their DCU going forward, but those do have to come out. Except Batgirl. But as for everything else, you know, they don't have to commit to that. So we're moving forward. And James Gunn, like I said, great response. His first part was the most telling, where he said some of it's true, some of it is half true, some of it's not true, and some of it we have yet to determine if it's true or not. And that is that's the perfect way to just make it juicy, because Hollywood Reporter told you what they speculated on and what they had strong sources on. So not everything was on the same level of, you know, credibility. But then James Gunn obviously is not going to point out exactly what's true and what's not. But him just throwing that out there, saying that some of it's true, some of it's half true, some of it we don't know yet. Like, now it's just even more speculative. So it's going to be juicy. We know it's going to be juicy, just like it is the MCU when we're waiting on news and all that. But the rest of it, what he said, when he basically said, look, we knew we were taking over during a fractious moment where the fan base, the story, all that's kind of fractured. And there's inevitably going to be some transitional periods that might be rough, and we're not going to please everybody. But just know we are making the decisions that we feel are best for these stories and these characters. Perfect. What else is there to be said? It's been less than 2 months, people. Less than 6 weeks. Like, let these people cook. And so they have to map out what they want to do and figure it out. Now, I think it is very clear. Again, I'm shocked at how much debate there is, because it is a very obvious, clear answer to how do we make this clean? You reboot. You reboot. And I'm not even talking about using Flashpoint to reboot. I'm talking about put those movies out and be like, all right, that's done. We're moving forward with something different. Talking about a hard reset, people. And then you go on from there. That is the objectively cleanest way to go forward with your new universe. Now, doesn't mean that's the only way. Doesn't mean that's the way they want to go. I think that you could, not easily, but there's a way to spin this into a multiverse situation and then have it where you can recast Jason Momoa. You can bring Henry Cavill back. You could bring Gal Gadot back. You bring who you want back, and you could recast who you want. And you would have to use the Flashpoint movie to accomplish that. That's if they want to do that, because I don't necessarily agree that you have to get rid of all the actors. And I get it. In most other cases, it'd be weird to reboot something and, you know, like just say Harry Potter. Say we rebooted it and we had Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter. Like, that's going to make you just think of the old movies. I get that. But with superhero stuff, it's just, especially with the multiverse, it's just, it's kind of baked into the lore. And so having variants, having people that look like different people and all that stuff, it's just baked into the lore. I mean, you got, yeah. So, or even, so you think about The Flash, the show on the CW. Jay Garrison is his dad, or at least looks like his dad. Looks like Barry Allen's dad. So, different person who's also the Flash, looks just like his dad in a different, you know, universe, but is not his dad. So, like, yeah, could Lobo look like Aquaman? Yeah. So, I think that's baked into the lore. And like I said, you tap into the multiverse, and I think there's a way to do that. And there's a way to completely push everything to the side, start new, but leave the door open. So let's say you don't bring anybody from the current roster, but you leave the door open with multiverse where you could potentially bring them back or have them cameo later on down the line. You could do those, you know, and there's a couple other ways you could do it. But the cleanest way, obviously, is just to hard cut it off, reset. And I don't think any of these options are the clear-cut right answer. Like, if they go the route of multiverse and trying to hold on to some of the roster or leave the door open for cameos, and I would commend them for degree of difficulty. Even if they don't pull it off. If they say, hey, you know, it's just too much going on. We love these people. Henry Cavill's one of the best Supermans, but we just got to, like, there's no way to tell this story the right way unless we reset it. I respect that too. So either way, I'm fine with it. And that's a change of heart because I've been calling for a reboot for a long time. There's people who've been on it the last few years, and some people, you know, around after Justice League. I called a reboot before Justice League. I'm pretty sure it was after Suicide Squad. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Suicide Squad, the original, David Ayer. I love that movie. I don't think it was as good as it could have been, but I love that movie. Don't get me wrong. I love BVS. I love Man of Steel. I think Wonder Woman's good, really good. But I saw the writing on the wall. And you're talking about before I was even on YouTube. I was on a whole different platform. But I said they need to reboot because they have too many cooks in the kitchen. And it doesn't matter what restructuring you do, the damage is done. The damage is done. And even if they get somebody in charge like a Feige, it's too late. Because it's clear that they have messed with all these movies being reactionary and no clear leadership. Dismissed by people, fine. Now, as we sit here today, it's went completely off the rails to the point where you have multiple movies that don't even acknowledge the other movies within the same universe. And of course, we got Elseworld movies going on, which is perfectly fine, but it's completely off the rails. Obviously, Warner Brothers been bought since then twice, and now they have a whole new studio. So for DC, so lots has changed since then, but to me, the writing was on the wall years and years and years ago. And so, but as I sit here today, I do think they have a legit opportunity to do it without a complete reboot. They can pull this off, almost partly because some of these things haven't referenced each other. And like Shazam doesn't really, you look at it and it doesn't really scream, you know, BVS or anything like that, where it's like I associate him with them. Black Adam that way as well. So, yeah, I think they could pull that off. But I'm honestly right now, I'm equally okay with whatever way they go. Now, if it was me and I had to, you know, put my career on the line, I would probably hard reboot it. I would probably just hard reboot it. That way, you know, it's kind of that old saying, you know, you're going to lose, but you're going to lose, you know, doing it your way. So, that's probably what I would do, but I'm okay with either one. Last thing I should have said way earlier, but I need to throw it in here now. There has always been a complete lack of credit to Zack Snyder for the success of the first Wonder Woman. And Patty Jenkins, who I don't know, I don't have any feeling, I haven't even seen Monster, her Academy Award winner. I have no ill feelings against her. I know some people do because she's a woman. But the first Wonder Woman, we had Zack Snyder on the story. And you cannot deny, because A, he was there on set. We saw him for a long time. But also, you can't deny the fighting style was completely Zack Snyder. It was completely 300 and everything else. It was Zack Snyder. And that movie hit. Patty Jenkins got all the credit. Then Wonder Woman 84 comes out, which I think most people who like that movie still acknowledge is not on the same level as the first one. And the movie was horrible. The story's terrible. And then the action was so bad. Like the whole running thing they did in Egypt, I think, or whatever they were in Cairo. It looked horrible. And there is, well, Zach's name's on as like one of the producers just because it went through their production company, but he obviously wasn't on that one. And I don't know how anyone can defend Patty Jenkins. Like, she had the control of that movie, and it was night and day from the first one. And so, again, not saying that automatically they shouldn't have got a third one, even though I wasn't excited for it. But you gotta believe that Patty Jenkins might not be as good with this Wonder Woman movie as people think. And they will not give credit to Zack Snyder for that first one, which is crazy because Zack was on the set of all those movies. He was the Feige. He shouldn't have been, but he was. And so I think that's just one thing I want to throw in with the whole Patty Jenkins situation. But it seems Patty's walked and probably won't be back. But and if I had to guess, they probably won't do a Wonder Woman 3. That'd be my guess. But yeah, so I know people got a lot of feelings about what's going on, but that's just my thoughts. So go down in the comment section, let me know what you think. Share around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, if you heard it here, it's official canon.